So you're saying.
Let me put a quote to you from the book where you say there are whole disciplines in universities.
Yo, you know what's so scary about this duality? Everyone says, oh, this is just one side of the political aisle and the other. No. What you're watching in this interview is literally, and I hate to simplify this much, how society is split in half, right? And for some reason, dude, there's no in between anymore, right? And I don't think there ever was. I think they lied to us, right? This fucking lady with So You're Saying sounds like all my fucking guests on the podcast. And it's just so pathetic.
He's forthrightly hostile towards men. These are the areas of study dominated by the postmodern stroke neo-Marxist claim that Western culture in particular is an oppressive structure created by white men to dominate and exclude women. But then I want to put
minorities too dominate and exclude.
Okay, sure. But I want to put to you that here in the UK, for example, let's take that as an example, the gender pay gap stands at just over 9%. You've got women at the BBC recently saying that the broadcaster is illegally paying them less than men to do the same job. You've got only 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies.
Yeah.
So it seems to a lot of women that they're still being dominated and excluded, to quote your words back to you.
It does seem that way, but multivariate analysis of the pay gap indicate that it doesn't exist.
But that's just not true, is it?
No,
I mean, that
absolutely
9% pay gap, that's a gap between median hourly earnings between men and women.
But there's
that exists.
Yeah, but there's multiple reasons for that. One of them is gender, but it's not the only reason. Like if you're a social scientist worth your salt, you never do a univariate analysis. Like you say, well, women in aggregate are paid less than men. Okay.
I have a theory that Jordan's a government plant, because he worked at the UN before all this teaching shit, which is uncanny. Like, if you know what the UN is.
Well, then we break it down by age. We break it down by occupation. We break it down by interest. We break it down by personality.
But you're saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top, because that's what's skewing that gender pay gap, isn't it? You're saying, well, that's just a fact of life.
By the way, if you think a government plant is like some fucking conspiratorial shit, all it means is one individual put on the algorithm of steroids, right? The government can literally put Jon Zherka on the top of the algorithm, and in one day I can be Squid Games popular, right? Sometimes you'll see it happen with fucking weirdos like Bad Baby, or remember that fucking rap girl and shit, random shit like that, right? And you're like, why the fuck is she at the top of the algorithm and stuff? Do you think the market is demanding for her? Fuck no, right? Yeah, the market wants their like little girls and they're creepy and shit. But it is pushed. It is pushed by elites. 100%. 100%.
I'm saying
women
it
aren't
doesn't
necessarily
matter.
going to get to the top.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't matter either.
You're saying
I'm
it's
saying
a
there
fact
are
of life.
multiple reasons for it.
Yeah, but
and that
those
aren't being
reasons,
taken into
why
account.
should women put up with those reasons?
Problem with this take is that the Canadian government hates him. Are you fucking dumb as fuck? There is no such thing as a Canadian government. There's no such thing as an American government. Nations don't have governments, periods. It's the World Economic Forum, United Nations, and the stakeholder capitalism. That's what runs everything. Trudeau bows to these stakeholders. Everyone bows to them. Okay? There's no such thing as, oh, the Canadian government doesn't like Jordan. It doesn't matter if he's with the United Nations. He's way higher level than a Canadian government if he's with the UN. You understand? Right?
Why should women be content
I'm not
not
saying
to
that
get
they
to the
should
top?
put up with it. I'm saying that the claim that the wage gap between men and women is only due to sex is wrong. And it is wrong. There's no doubt about that. The multivariate analysis have been done. So I can give you an example.
You keep on talking about multivariate analysis.
Let me give you an example.
I'm saying that.
So he's not planted by Canadian government? Yeah, no. Canadian government would be like useless, right? Plants can only come from UN, right? They can only come from like the top. They can't come from like a little Canadian government or Nancy Pelosi and all that cringe shit, right? That's more like civil games, just to keep people like arguing about stupid shit, right? They got to keep moving the ball and shit.
9% pay gap exists.
Yeah.
That's a gap between men and women. I'm not saying why it exists, but it exists. Now,
Yeah, but
if
you
you're
have
a
to say
woman,
why
that
it
seems
exists.
pretty unfair.
You have to say why it exists.
But do you agree that it's unfair? If you're a woman,
Not necessarily.
and on average you're getting paid 9% less than a man, that's not fair, is it?
It depends on why it's happening. I can give you an example. Okay. There's a personality trait known as agreeableness. Agreeable people are compassionate and polite. And agreeable people get paid less than less agreeable people for the same job. Women are
Agreeable people are so quickly forgotten. It's so bad, dude. It's so fucking bad. But when you bring something of value, agreeableness is more effective, right? If you're really bringing in the heat, right? If you're really bringing content or, whatever the fuck you.
more agreeable than men.
Again, a vast generalization. Some
It's not
women
a
are not more
generalization.
agreeable than
Yes.
men.
There's 10 good streamers that I never put on my podcast because they're so agreeable that they don't push their way into stealing my attention. But the pushy people, Jon Zherka, put me on. They take my attention, and I forget about all those great people that are very agreeable and soft and stuff. And that's how the whole world works, right? Fish, crabs in a bucket or whatever the fuck.
That's true, but that's right. And some women get paid more than men.
So you were saying that by and large, women...
Name them. I can't name those streamers because I forgot who they are, right? I forget it. If you're agreeable, I forget who you are. I can't name one nice streamer that I know. Wake? I don't even consider him nice. He's become more pushy and it's good. I love it.
are too agreeable to get the pay rises they deserve.
No, I'm saying that that's one component of a multivariate equation that predicts.
No, I'm talking about my circle.
It accounts for maybe 5% of the variance, something like that.
So surely the
you need about
answer-
another.
Mizkif, you idiot. Dude, Mizkif is not a casual dude. He pushes his way into things. He's not like a turnover and, whatever happens, happens, right? Mizkif is active, right? He engages with the world. I'm going to be on the Aiden stream. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be, right? He pushes it. He pushes into, he's not, you guys think he's like some seal that lays down on his couch and waits for the world to do shit for him? No, he's active. He engages, right? Agreeableness is not good, dude.
We need about another 18 factors, one of which is gender. And there is prejudice, there's no doubt about that, but it accounts for a much smaller proportion of the variance in the pay gap than the radical feminists claim.
Okay, so rather than denying the pay gap exists, which is what you did at the beginning of
There's no point. There's no point in saying Saikuno. There's no point because you're pointing at one icon. That's like me saying, everyone can get Ninja's paycheck and blah, 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 right? Or whatever. No, dude, you can't point at a icon. You gotta point at the average, right? And the average of agreeable people, it's bro, they're at the bottom of the barrel, bro. It's not good, bro. I was agreeable until I said fuck this shit, bro. I'm pushing my way in, right? You know what I mean?
this conversation. Shouldn't you say to women, rather than being agreeable and not asking for a pay rise, go and ask for a pay rise? Make yourself disagreeable with your boss.
Oh, definitely, there's that. But I also didn't deny it existed. I denied it existed because of gender.
Okay.
Yo, that's so fucking true, Carrot. When I'm at my most depressed state, I'm open to new ideas and more agreeable, passive, all the good qualities. But when I'm not depressed, I disagree hard and engage and stimulate my mind with arguments and shit with other people and da-da-da-da, and I move up. So everything they want you to be is your passive, depressed self. That is spooky as fuck, right? And if agreeableness does take you to Saikuno levels, I don't think it's worth having a Ferrari if you have bad mental health and you're soft and, not like Saikuno, I don't know anything about him, but you know what I mean? So, right? If you don't have a Zherka mindset in the Ferrari, then that Ferrari, you'll be too depressed to drive.
See, because I'm very, very, very careful with my words.
So the pay gap exists, you accept that. But you're saying, the pay gap between men and women exists, but you're saying it's not because of gender, it's because women are too agreeable to ask for pay rises. So
It's one of the reasons.
Okay,
Women, statistically, lean more liberal than men worldwide. Worldwide. That is something you should have tattooed in your brain. Okay? You should think about that. Right? You should really think about that. That's not a good thing. Right? You want structure and order a bit. You don't want to fucking, yes sir, yes sir. Someone asked, were you agreeable at work or based? At work, I was the guy that people were terrified to say, yo, Zherka, can you stay another hour at work? Right? Because I'll turn to them and I'll look at them. Like, what'd you say to me? And my boss would be like, oh, nothing, bro. I'm going to get Charlie to do it. I was just saying, like, did you want to chill and stay? I'm like, nah, I got to go. And I would get promotions because he'd respect me. He's like, this guy's going places, right? This guy's not doing anything for $10 an hour. Like, this guy's willing to quit the fucking job. Like, right? And you got to watch out in the real world. The best employee never gets the promotion. It's the boss's friend who makes the boss's life easier that gets the promotion. So, it is eventually about social media, social networking, social, right? The worst part of life is the social part, in my opinion.
One of the reasons. So why not get them to ask for a pay rise?
I've done
be
that.
a fairer
I've done
way of
that
proceeding?
many times in my career.
And they
I've
just don't?
counseled. Oh, they do it all the time. So one of the things that you do as a clinical psychologist is assertiveness training. So you might say, often you treat people for anxiety, you treat them for depression, and maybe the next most common category after that would be assertiveness training. And so I've had many women, extraordinarily competent women, in my clinical and consulting practice, and we put together strategies for their career development that involve continual pushing, competing for higher wages, and often tripled their wages within a 5-year period, teaching
you
them how to
celebrate that?
negotiate. Of course.
So
Of
do
course.
you agree that you would be happy if that pay gap was eliminated completely?
It
Because
would
that's all
depend.
the radical feminists are saying.
It would depend on how it was eradicated and how the disappearance of it was measured.
And you're
These
saying
things
if
you
it's at
can't-
the
you
cost
can't-
of men, that's a problem.
Oh, there's all sorts of things that it could be at the cost of. It could even be at the cost of women's own interests. So,
Because they might not be happy if they get equal pay.
no, because it might interfere with other things that are causing the pay gap that women are choosing to do.
Like having children.
Well, or choosing careers that actually happen to be paid less, which women do a lot of.
But why shouldn't women have the right to choose not to have children or the right to choose those demanding careers?
They do. They can. Yeah, that's fine.
But you're saying that makes them unhappy.
It's so simple. Women see finance as a lifestyle. Oh, I get to go to Barbados. I get a nice apartment, a nice kitchen island. It's a lifestyle. Men see finance as power, and that's instinctive, right? They see resources differently, right? And she's trying to understand him, but he's trying to say most women don't want to be that powerful, and they really don't, They really don't. Like, ask anyone, right? Should they be powerful? Fuck yeah. But do they want to? Like, what are you gonna force them? Just, hey, it's equal, so, like, what are you gonna force them? Come on, dude. Everything's about power. A nice kitchen is kind of power. No, it's not, because most men, instead of getting a nice kitchen, put it in crypto, or they let their money move, right? So clearly that's a more powerful move to jump into investments and whatever you got going on, right? That is a way higher level move than a kitchen. But you compromise in life, you know what I mean? Get her the kitchen. Get her the kitchen, you beta.
Large.
I'm saying that. No, I'm not saying that. I
want a nice
said
kitchen
that
one day.
so far in
You're
the
saying it
program.
makes them miserable.
No, I
at the
said that
beginning.
what was making them miserable was having weak partners. That makes them miserable.
Right.
I would say that many women around the age of, I would say between 28 and 32, have a career family crisis that they have to deal with. And I think that's partly because of the foreshortened time frame
When
that
was
women
this?
have to contend with. Like,
Years
women have
ago.
to get the major pieces of their life put together faster than men, which is also partly why men aren't under so much pressure to grow up. So because for the typical woman, she has to have her career and family in order pretty much by the time she's 35, because otherwise the options start to run out. And so that puts a tremendous amount of stress.
Look at how stupid she is. When he said the woman's options start to run out at 35, she is looking at him as if he made that rule. He's observing the rule in nature that he did not create because it's unfair. But she is looking at him and saying, how dare you say I have till 35? And he's saying, no, I don't want that to be reality. That's very unfair. That's very unfair to the woman. But this is what we're observing. And when we observe reality, we can put a Band-Aid. But she will never, ever, ever blame society, right? She just won't. Because if she blames society, right, everything in her brain would malfunction and explode, right? She would short circuit because that means she would live in a world she doesn't want to be a part of. But this man already lives in that world. And his bitterness has faded over the years. Hers is just starting because she's getting a taste of the real world, right? So he's dealt with the bitterness. She's just starting and she's blaming him, right? She's blaming him right away. And this is just some fucking random Canadian dude that cries on television. So check this out. Look how offended she is that he observed a fact. And look how dumb he is for not explaining to her. Dude, it's so... You can see it on my podcast, though, when you talk to, like, hardcore lib women. You just tell them, it sucks. Reality sucks. I didn't make the rules. You should know the rules so you can navigate calmer. But check out her face change.
She has to have her career and family in order pretty much by the time she's 35, because otherwise the options start to run out. And so that puts a tremendous amount of stress on women, especially at the end of their 20s.
I think I take issue with the idea of the typical woman because, you know, all women are different. And that's what
That's so false. There is nothing more false than that. My dude, there is nothing more false. Right? I've been with shy girls, I've been with loud girls, I've been with girls who are trying to stab me, all that shit, right? They are very alike. Extremely alike. It's scary. Whether educated or not, they're very alike. Right?
I want to just put another quote to you from the book.
Well,
You
they're
say,
different in some ways and the same in others.
okay, you say women become...
That's a lib cuck answer from Peterson. Listen to that. He has to appease her because he's so weak.
To you from the book.
Well,
You
they're
say,
different in some ways and the same in others.
Oh yeah, well sometimes women are stronger than men. Yeah, sometimes they're not. What?
okay, you say women become more vulnerable when they have children.
Yo, Gold Sniper, bro. Do I have a mod in chat? Ban that kid.
And you talked in one of your YouTube interviews about crazy harpy sisters. So, simple question. Is gender equality a myth in your view? Is that something that's just never going to happen?
It depends on what you mean by equality. No,
Being
if
treated
you mean
fairly,
that men and women...
getting the same opportunities?
It will never happen. Go strive for it, all that, you know, whatever's making them happier. But, can you think of any duality more different than a man and a woman? Can you think of anything? Like, I can't think of anything that... Yeah, I can't. Wow. That is wow.
Fairly, we could get to a point where people were treated fairly or more fairly. I mean, people are treated pretty fairly in Western culture already, but we can
But they're
improve
really
that.
not, though, are they? I mean, otherwise, why
depends.
would there only be 7 women running FTSE 100 companies in the UK? Why?
Because they don't crave power, you imbecile. On average, women do not crave power like men do. Okay, that's why they're not filling up the prison systems. They're not extreme, right? Men instinctively crave power, and they call it a bank account, they call it this, they call it that, network, resource, blah, blah, blah. Some even call it NFT, and some are retarded. So basically, all you have to say to a lib woman when she does this to you is why these women are not jumping up in positions of power, right? Is because they are more pure than man. Man craves power, the woman craves the social nest, right? If you think of a hair salon, think of a hair salon and a men's hair salon. Like how one place is antisocial and the other has a hierarchy and connections and relationships and flowers and, you know what I mean? And, you know, when men go get their hair cut, it's like a funeral.
Why would there still be a pay gap, which we've discussed at length? Why are women at the BBC saying that they're getting paid illegally less than men to do the same job?
Well,
that's not fair, is it?
Let's go to the first question. Those are complicated questions. Seven women, repeat that one.
There's 7 women running the top FTSE 100 companies in the UK.
Okay. Well, the first question might be, why would you want to do that?
Why would a man want to do it?
See, she just wants to copy the man. Why would a man want to do it? Because they're fucking cavemen. Instinctually, they want to have resources and power so they can attract you, beautiful lady. What a simple answer. Like, I'm a bouncer schooling you and you're like some educated lady. This is why I don't even believe in education. Like, there's no way she went to college.
I mean, there's a lot of money. It's an interesting job.
There's a certain number of men, although not that many, who are perfectly willing to sacrifice virtually all of their life to the pursuit of a high-end career. So they'll work. These are men that are very intelligent. They're usually very, very conscientious. They're very driven. They're very high energy. They're very healthy.
Here's the difference. He's talking about me right now. He's talking about me. Me. Except the healthy part. So check this out. Here's the difference, Chad. Most women cannot go months and months without male attention. You guys witness me go through 6-month phases of being alone in my room. Easily. I don't know one woman on earth who can do that. Without DMs, you can't DM a guy, you can't get attention and nothing. I would be hard pressed to ever find that anywhere, right? And she'd be like, I didn't sleep with a guy for 6 months. And you see her DMs, a million DMs back and forth, talking to the guys and stuff like that. Dude, a man's greatest talent is his greatest weakness is we can go Super Saiyan antisocial and you can't. You can't. It's against your DNA. It's literally against your DNA to be antisocial. That's why you dominate social media. Not the power structure, but you definitely start a channel and have 50,000 followers in a day, right?
And they're willing to work 70 or 80 hours a week, nonstop, specialized at one thing to get to the top.
So you're saying women are just more sensible. They don't want that because it's not a nice life.
I'm saying
they're more pure. That's why they're not in fucking prison, right? They don't crave power and shit.
That's part of it, definitely. And so I work
so you don't think...
Matter of fact, when you start to give a woman a lot of power and shit, right? A lot of power, right? She starts testing everyone, right? The husband, the this. She starts fucking nitpicking and testing everyone. But when you give a fair woman power, she starts to get a little drunk with it. Have you noticed? But when you give a fair man power, he's not testing his employees, his brother, his families. He's not testing them. He's not like picking at them. He's keeping it fair, right? He's keeping the boat from rocking, right? He's not getting drunk with it because he's a fair man. But the fair woman gets intoxicated by power because she's like, oh, I'm not used to this, right? This is not even what I want, right? I want a family and blah, 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 and a nice, big cock or whatever they want. I don't know.
There are barriers in their way that prevent them getting to the top of those companies.
There are some barriers, yeah. Like men, for example. I mean, to get to the top of any organization is an incredibly competitive enterprise. And the men that you're competing with are simply not going to roll over and say, please take the position.
So let me come back to my
absolute
question.
all-out warfare.
Is gender equality a myth?
I don't know what you mean by the question. Men and women aren't the same, and they won't be the same. That doesn't mean they can't be treated fairly.
Is gender equality desirable?
If it means equality of outcome, then almost certainly it's undesirable. That's already been demonstrated in Scandinavia.
That's such a stupid way to answer it. Is equality desirable, Zherka? Well, we'd have to ask the women. Are they happy? That's so simple to do, right? You just ask women. You're like, hey, how's your life with 9 cats and an OnlyFans? And she goes, I just kind of want a man, John. I want a man, and I want a more simple life. I'm like, huh, okay, I guess listening to the corporate dude in the suit and tie didn't work for you. I wonder if it'll work for the next one. When am I ever going to see that, No, it's not going to work, right? The truth is, right, women are attacking men today, right now, but they say nothing to the billionaire corporate suit and tie guy that says, yo, make an OnlyFans and here's a few bands. But they'll come after us plumbers, bouncers. You know what I mean? Why are you coming after us broke guys? Yo, we cleaning toilets, man. Leave us the fuck alone. You go deal with the suit and tie guy. But they see us all as suit and tie guy. It's almost like the media makes them do that. You know what I mean? And, yeah. But the way I sound is like it's women's fault. No, it's men. Men are weak, right? When I look in society, I see way more weakness in men than women, right? All I see is women that are not protected, right? Which is like, that's the failure of dudes, And it was funny in the beginning. Now I'm just disgusted. Now I'm like, holy shit, I can't even go to a Walmart without feeling sorry for everyone. It's like a pity fest. I feel disgusted. I'm like, I'm tired of being the Joker, bro. I'm depressed. I don't want to go to Walmart anymore. It's not funny anymore. It was funny 2016 and shit, but I'm done. It's not funny anymore. Now it's like, yo, get your shit together.
Because in
What
Scandinavia...
do you mean by that? Equality of outcome is undesirable.
Well, men and women won't sort themselves into the same categories if you leave them alone to do it of their own accord. I've already seen that in Scandinavia. It's 20 to 1 female nurses to male, something like that. It might not be quite that extreme. And approximately the same male engineers.
So what you're saying
is... And that's a consequence of the free choice of men and women in the societies that have gone farther than any other societies to make gender equality the purpose of the law. Those are ineradicable differences. You can eradicate them with tremendous social pressure and tyranny, but if you leave men and women to make their own choices, you will not get equal outcomes.
Right, so you're saying that anyone who believes in equality, whether you call them feminists, call them whatever you want to call them, should basically give up because it ain't going to happen.
What the fuck? Like, how did you get that from what he said? He said when you let people choose, they're not choosing the same choice of power. The men are going to power. They're not going to family as much, right? And if they go with family, they start ditching their family a bit for more power at the workplace and career opportunity. So they're a little more cold, a little more antisocial, and it's giving them an advantage. How the fuck are you not getting this? You're like an adult. You're scaring the fuck out of me.
Only if they're aiming at equality of outcome.
So you're saying give people equality of opportunity, that's fine.
It's not only fine, it's eminently desirable for everyone.
Jordan's just so afraid to say it's a human nature argument because he doesn't want to be painted like that. You know what I mean?
Individuals and for society.
But still women aren't going to make it. That's what you're really saying.
It depends on your measurement techniques. They're doing just fine in medicine. In fact, there are far more female physicians than there are male physicians. There are lots of disciplines that are absolutely dominated by women. Many, many disciplines. And they're doing great. So
let me put something else to you from the book. You say the introduction of the equal pay for equal work argument immediately complicates even salary comparison beyond practicality for one simple reason. Who decides what work is equal? It's not possible. So the simple question is, do you believe in equal pay?
It would depend.
I made the argument there. It's like it depends on
so
who
you don't
defines it.
believe
Oh, God.
No, I'm not saying that at all.
Because a lot of people listening to you will just say, I mean, are we going back to the dark
That's
ages
because they're actually
here?
not listening. They're
I'm
just
listening very
projecting
carefully,
what
and
they
I'm
think.
hearing you basically saying women need to...
Here, how about this? I'll do the, oh, it's like you gotta pick up the sword and fight the dragon, man. Right? I'm Jordan Peterson. Why doesn't Peterson just say, I believe in equal pay for equal desire? So when I see an e-girl doing a 41-hour stream like Zherka, hell yeah. Hell yeah, she can have 3,500 subs, big donos and all that. Right? Why doesn't he just say that? I gotta work my ass off to make a 4-hour e-girl stream. You know, there's a girl who streams 4 hours a week with more subs than me. The fuck? All she does is buy furniture. She got no vision. She got no one to rescue. She talks about that shit. She don't got no family. She want to rescue nothing. Just wants to buy furniture and shit. I'm so jealous of that coffee table, bro.
Just accept. They're never
So
going to
nice.
make it on equal terms. Equal outcomes is how you defined it.
No, I didn't
If
say
I was
that.
a young
I said
woman
that equal...
watching that, I would go, well, I might as well just go and play with my Cindy dolls and give
didn't
up
say
trying
that.
at school because I'm not going to get the top.
Why the extreme? I might as well just give up. Oh, what? Men and women value power differently? Well, I'm just going to go play with a doll. How the fuck did you get there? What the fuck?
Job I want. Because
said
there's
that
someone sitting there saying it's not possible
I
and it's
said
not
that
desirable.
equal
It's going to make
outcomes
you
aren't
miserable.
desirable. That's what I said. It's a
Yeah,
bad
it's not
social
desirable.
goal. I didn't say that women shouldn't be striving for the top or anything like that, because I don't believe that for a second.
Striving for the top, but you're going to put all those hurdles in their way.
Isn't his job to help these high functioning women to go to the top? How is he putting hurdles in their way? Like, dude, this lady can make me a JP fan.
As has been in their way for centuries, and that's fine. You're saying that's fine.
No, I really
The
think that's-
patriarchal system
I really
is
think
just
that's
fine.
silly. I do. I think that's silly. I really do. I mean, look at your situation. You're hardly unsuccessful.
Yeah, and I have
How do
battled
you
quite
manage
hard
it?
to get where I've got
Exactly.
to.
Good
So
for
that's
you.
okay. Battling is good. This is all
It's
about the fight.
inevitable.
But you talk about men
Why
fighting. I mean, let me
wouldn't
just
you-
put another thing to you from the book.
Why
You're
wouldn't
saying
you have to
real.
battle for a high-quality position?
Well, I notice in your book you talk about real conversations between men containing, quote, an underlying.
If you don't have to battle for a high quality position, how happy would you feel when your heart surgeon comes in and he's like, yeah, there's no competition. I finished school in a year. Okay, let's open you up. Right? You'd be like, what the fuck? Right? You'd freak the fuck out. But neither adult can make these connections because they're actually both stupid.
Threat of physicality.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
What about real conversations between women? Is that something, or are we sort of too amenable and reasonable?
No, it's just that the domain of physical conflict is sort of off limits for you.
Well, you
It's
just said
rather
that I've
unfortunate.
fought to get where I've got.
Yeah, but
What does that make me?
well,
a
I
sort of
don't
proxy
imagine.
man or
I
something?
don't imagine that you've. Yeah, to some degree, I suspect you're not very agreeable.
So that's the thing. Successful women.
You have masculine traits. That's why you're successful. Just like Hillary Clinton. Why is it a bad thing? It's kind of cool, actually. You got millions of dollars and we're in a fucking stream complaining about you. You know what I mean? You should be happy.
I'm not very agreeable.
Right.
But
I've noticed that
successful-
actually in this conversation.
At least
and
we
I'm
can have
sure
a
it
joke
served your career well.
Successful women, though, basically have to wear the trousers, in your view. They have to sort of become men to
100%. Yes. Yes. Yes.
succeed, is what you're saying.
Well, if they're going
I've had to fight to succeed,
if they're
therefore
going to
I'm an
compete
honorary
against
man.
men, certainly masculine traits are going to be helpful. I mean,
It would help with even for if they're competing against women. What kind of take is that, Peterson?
one of the things I do in my counseling practice, for example, when I'm consulting with women who are trying to advance their careers, is to teach them how to negotiate and to be able to say no and to not be easily pushed around and to be formidable. And you need to, if you're going to be successful, you need to be smart, conscientious, and tough.
Well, here's a radical idea. Why don't the bosses adopt the male bosses, shall we say, adopt some female traits?
Because they're useless in the executive world. Business is war and we are soldiers. Why would we adopt feminine traits during war? Are you trying to get my whole platoon killed? The greatest business model you'll ever see in your life. If you ever in life question, am I living life the right way? Is my ideology correct? Which business model has compromise equals death? Or excuse me. mistake equals death. The only business model, right? And every military is a business, right? It's all for resources. The only business model where if you fuck up, your whole platoon is killed is the military, which is the highest level of masculinity anywhere in society, right? Like there's a reason why all the badges and that stuff is like everything military is an arrow pointing forward, right? That you have to go through targets no matter what, no matter which country. It's always a very masculine, discipline oriented platoon, right? A bunch of platoons connected and shit. Any room for feminism in that military will get everyone killed, every single one of them. So if militaries don't believe in feminine traits, and they are business models that cannot afford to fail even for minutia details, why would you ever run a business? Why would you enter the corporate world with feminine traits? Why? What would be the benefit? Right? Like, how would that even help you? What about military medics? Military medics are not feminine. They push people out of the way to make sure that someone stops bleeding out. They're pushy, they're aggressive, they run around. They're not like, well, let's just see how he feels. And if you feel better with this Percocet, then just stay like this. And that's not how it works, right? They'd be like, yo, med kit, right? But, like, honestly, I genuinely think she's trolling him. There's no way she doesn't get it.
So that women don't have to fight and get their sharp elbows out for the pay rises. It's just accepted if they're doing the same job, they get the same pay.
Well, I would say partly because it's not so easy to determine what constitutes the same job.
But that's because, arguably, there are still men dominating our industries, our society, and therefore they've dictated the terms for so long that women have to battle to be like the men.
No, it's not true. It's not true.
All you'd have to look at it is, has there ever been a civilization where women ruled? And why has there never been one, right? And who's the first to run that experiment, right? Who would have the courage, right? If they've all failed for thousands of years, who's going to try, right? Everyone's going to hold their assets and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to try this, bro, right? Right? That's like a business model that failed for 1,000 years, and then you want, hey, let's try it. I don't know, right? Amazonian women? It's not even true. Native American tribes? No, wrong. Who do you think is slaughtering the buffalo, dude? All right, the eating is the most important part, believe it or not, right?
So, for
Where's the
example,
evidence?
well, I can give you an example very quickly. So I worked with women who worked in high-powered law firms in Canada for about 15 years, and they were as competent and put together as anybody you would ever meet. And we were trying to figure out how to further their careers. And there was a huge debate.
I haven't seen the studies for this, but check me out, chat. If my daughter grew up around 4 of my sons, 4 brothers, I'm pretty sure she's going to have stronger mental health when she enters the business world than a daughter that's an only child or just with other sisters. I'm positive that girls who grow up with like 4 brothers, they don't get snaked as hard, and they kind of have like a better radar of shit. I'm positive I haven't read that study, so I'm just making shit up right now, but I'm positive that's on my side.
In Canadian society at that point, that was basically ran along the same lines as your argument, is that if the law firms didn't use these masculine criteria, then perhaps women would do better. But the market sets the damn game. It's like...
And the market is dominated by men.
No,
So
it's
what I'm
not. It's
asking you-
not. The market is dominated by women. They make 80% of the consumer decisions.
Killjoy.
That's not the case
What?
at all.
If you're talking
80%.
about people who stay at home looking after children, by and large, they are still women. So they're
Men don't swipe credit cards.
going out
at
doing
all.
the shopping. But that is changing.
Let me tell you something, dude. When a woman has a 60, 70, let's say she has a $70,000 job a year, and a man has a $70,000 job a year, and they both simultaneously buy houses, the woman will have her favorite car. And that man will be taking the bus, guaranteed. Right? Ain't nobody paying for that man's dates, date nights, and all that extra free club and blah, blah. A free social life, no free ride, zero. Right? I mean, well, John, that's just the hot chicks. No. Average chicks get so much free shit. Don't fucking lie to me, bro. I worked at the club way too long for you to... Dude, I see 9 out of 10s come at me and they're like, hey, Zherka, it's just me and 3 other people. And I'm like, oh yeah, just this line. And my head doorman, who would get so like uncomfortable when I'd put the hot girls in the lineup, he was so afraid of telling me, yo, John, just let them in. He would be so afraid because then he'd get that look from me. You know, that look of equality? So he wouldn't say anything, right? And the club would lose like maybe what, $500 that night because of that move, right? But now the cuck owner comes out and he's like, ladies, come in. But who the fuck am I to say that? Because pretty ladies get on my stream. Hey, open the doors to the stream. Let's pump the viewer count. Let's pump up the socials and shit. So at the end of the day, I was no promoter. But when I did turn into more of like the host, whew, that was more money. I was like, whoa, you know?
They make all
Anyway,
the
what I want to
consumer
ask you-
decisions.
okay, so
the
what I wanna
market
ask
is
you-
driven by
okay.
women, not men.
Right.
Okay, and if you're a lawyer
And they
in
still
Canada,
pay more for the same sort of goods. That's been proven, that men, you buy a blue bicycle helmet, it's going to cost less than a pink one. Anyway, we'll come on to that.
What?
partly because men are less agreeable. Right, so they won't put up with it.
I want to ask you, is it not desirable to have some of those female traits you're talking about? I'd say that's a generalization, but you've used the words female traits. Is it not desirable to have some of them at the top of business? I mean, maybe there wouldn't have
They
been
don't predict
a
success.
banking crisis.
They
if
don't
that had
predict
happened.
success in the workplace. The things that predict success in the workplace are intelligence and conscientiousness. Agreeableness negatively predicts success in the workplace. And so does high negative emotion.
You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough to run these top companies?
No, I didn't say that at all.
You said that female traits don't predict success.
He's actually wrong, right? You know what beats out intelligence is aggressiveness, right? There's a lot of intelligent people who have to take the back seat at their workplaces because someone's just a bit more aggressive than them, right? There's a lot of smart people sitting on the fucking sofa, right? Building their cuck energy. So, get your elbows on me. Man, get the fuck out of my way, right? But don't ever fake vision. If you have a fake vision, then people will fucking trample you. But if you have a real vision, they will get out of your way. And a lot of times they'll hit follow.
Success.
But I didn't say that
Intelligence
intelligence
and
wasn't. I didn't say that
conscientiousness do.
intelligence and conscientiousness
Well, you were saying that
weren't
intelligence
female
and
traits.
conscientiousness by implication are not female traits.
No.
I mean,
I'm not
that's very
saying that.
dangerous territory.
I'm not saying that at all.
Are women less
There's-
intelligent than men, by and
No,
large?
no, they're not. No, the data on that's pretty clear. The average IQ for a woman and the average IQ for a man is identical. There is some debate.
Women are not dumber than men, but they do get cocked by their emotions a lot more, right? I don't know how that makes me feel. Right? Dude, I've talked to millions of women. They get stuck on the small problems in their life for 1 week. He didn't text me back, and it becomes a 1-week conversation with her friends. If a girl don't text me back, I already forgot who the fuck you are. It's maybe 2 minutes and I forgot. right? If she does text me, who the fuck is this? What the fuck? Is that the feds?
About the flatness of the distribution, which is something that James Damore pointed out, for example, in his memo, but there's no difference at all in general cognitive ability. There's no difference to speak of in conscientiousness. Women are a bit more orderly than men, and men are a little bit more industrious than women. But the difference isn't big. But that averages into
Plenty of men
conscientiousness.
who aren't necessarily as
Well, of
industrious.
course,
But we'll,
these are-
we'll,
okay.
we'll
But no,
female
but you
traits,
asked me
though,
the
why
question.
are they not?
No, men can, dude, it's so, bro, sometimes I think men are way dumber. How the fuck are we like 99% of the prison population? Right? We get cucked by that anger. This is my twin brother said to me. He said, you know, Zherka, it's a cringe take what you just said, women get cucked by their emotions. And I'm like, why? They do. And my therapist, twin brother, said, because you're not counting all the men in prison who get cucked by their anger and antisocial behavior that they destroy their whole lives, families' lives, and get locked up forever. Why are you not counting that? And it's because I value that aggression, which I shouldn't. It's good in business, pushy, but you know, that consumes us and destroys us, you know? So when I think of it that way, men are way more emotional, right? To the extremes. But a fair man that's not going to prison, he's definitely not getting cucked by his emotions that much. But now he is. In this society, now the dudes are very strange to me, right? You know what I mean by that? When this stream gets so fucking serious, what the fuck? This chat, bro.
Feminine traits.
Why
let's
are they
say.
not desirable at the top of feminine traits? Why are they not desirable at the top of
It's hard to say. I'm just laying out the empirical evidence. Like we know the
Maybe the
traits
third.
that predict success.
But we also know, because companies by and large have not been dominated by women over the centuries, we have nothing to compare it to. It's an experiment.
True, and it could be the case that if companies modified their behavior and became more feminine, that they would be successful. But
You
there's
see-
What? What about a military company? If it's never worked for any military company, what the hell is the difference for military and a business? There's no difference. There's actually no difference from any military on earth and a business. Like zero. People are like, yo, Zherka, why are you so militant with your streams and shit? Like, you be mean to people. Like, bring me content or leave. It's the only way that it works, right? Also, it's my nature. I can't really fake a smile.
no
doubtful about
evidence
that.
for it. I'm not neither doubtful nor non-doubtful. There's no
So
evidence
why
for
not
it.
give it a go, as the
Because
radical
the evidence
feminists would
suggests,
say?
well, it's fine. If someone wants to start a company and make it more feminine and compassionate, let's say, and caring in its overall orientation towards its workers and towards the marketplace, then that's a perfectly reasonable experiment to run. My point is that there is no evidence that those traits predict success in the workplace. And there's
Because it's
this
never
evidence
been
is,
tried.
Well, that's not really the case. Women
That's
have been
ridiculous.
in the workplace for what, at least ever since I've
Imagine having this conversation with your mother. My mother is a lib. A very liberal woman. But she does not argue that, right? She doesn't argue at all. She's like, you know, you're my youngest son, and you were always very quiet and kind of like class clown and stuff. But one day you became bitter and aggressive. And I'm like, when was that, Mom? And she's like, when you started to make a lot of money, right? Like the aggression came right before it. And I'm like, yeah, like I'm not going back. I'll never go back to that. And, you know, when Albanian mom just wants to see you secure, right? Make money, have a roof over your head and shit. So she's like, good on you. You know, she doesn't attack me for it, right? Albanian moms will only be red pill when it comes to their sons, right? But they can be emotional.
been around, the representation of women in the workplace has been about 50%. So we've run the experiment for a fairly reasonable period of time, but not, certainly not for centuries.
Okay. Geez, that was painful. I don't know why. Once a year I watch that on stream, bro. That is just painful. It's painful that that conversation happens on my podcast a lot. And I'm like, what the fuck? Get over the conversation. It's over. It's fucking over. Okay, check.